I feel like all of us have experienced it in one way or another, especially if you've been on social media and you posted one photo of yourself. I feel like there's always comments that come in. But I'm just going to say, like, body shaming, how you talk to yourself and others really does matter. So what is body shaming? So body shaming is basically any comment, thought, or behavior that judges, criticizes, or assigns value to a body based on how it looks. It can be directed at others, or it can be directed at yourself, and it doesn't have to sound mean to be harmful. So just keep that in mind, that even comments with like the best of intentions can do a little bit of like shaming. So body shaming isn't just what you say out loud. It's those little thoughts that pop up throughout the day that can also cause a negative effect towards your psyche and towards your body as well. So little things like, oh, I look disgusting, or, oh, I feel bloated. Oh, I need to hide this part of my body. Oh, my pants are squeezing and now I have muffin tops. Or I'd be happy when I'm smaller. Those are all those little thoughts that can kind of like pop in our heads throughout the day that can really add up to a negative effect. But do those thoughts really matter that much? So basically when those thoughts pop in your head, it activates your flight or fight response, which raises your cortisol. So over time, it can lead to increased fat storage, especially around like your stomach, and then poor recovery and sleep, hormone disruption, overeating and restriction, and lower motivation and consistency. So it's not just a random little thought that pops into your head. There's actually a chemical response that happens in your body when you have thoughts like that, and when you really kind of like feed into those. So sneaky examples of body shaming, rather than like the obvious, like, oh, I look fat today, or, oh, I feel disgusting. Maybe when somebody says, oh my gosh, you look so much better now. It's like, well, I didn't think I looked bad before, but yeah, I feel like I look good now. Like, I don't know. So it implies that you just didn't really look good before. So that's like a really sneaky one. That sounds like a compliment. And then another one is like, oh, I wish I had your metabolism, which turns somebody's body into a comparison, like you're comparing your metabolism to somebody else's, but it also discredits the hard work that that person probably put into getting their body. I love the trend where it's like, you have like the best metabolism, or you just have a fast metabolism, and then you show all the pictures of them when they didn't have a fast metabolism, and it's like, yeah, this is my genetics, or these are this is my metabolism. So it shows how much hard work has to go into changing your body and developing those healthy habits. Another one that I see a lot on Instagram, unfortunately, is you're so brave for wearing that. That is one of the biggest backhanded compliments I've ever heard ever. It's kind of just makes it seem like there are things that people should and should not wear based on how their body looks. Whereas if you feel comfortable and if you feel confident in it and you feel like you feel good in it, you can wear whatever you want, because it's your body and you could choose to dress it how you want to. So you don't need to be brave for wearing a bikini if your body doesn't look like a supermodel. It's just great. Like, normal people can wear bikinis too, and it's not brave. It's just should be normal. Another thing is, I'm so bad for eating this, and that is putting a moralization on food, and so that can indirectly shame bodies tied to those choices. So I've said this multiple times on calls before, but eating a food doesn't mean you're good, doesn't mean you're bad. There is no moral tied to food and how you eat. It's just there's some things that you should eat more and some things that you should eat less to be healthy. So never say like, oh, I'm so bad for eating this. Just be like, oh, cool, I'm eating ice cream right now. Maybe tomorrow I'll have a lot of protein and fruit for my breakfast. So it's just kind of something that's more neutral rather than a good or bad. A comment maybe saying like, oh, you don't look like you work out. So with this, I grew up, so my mom didn't really look like a super fit person. She was kind of bigger than my friends' moms, but she worked out every single day. So I grew up just thinking everybody worked out. And I thought, like, no matter how your body looked, you always worked out because you wanted to be healthy. And my mom looked great. but she wasn't as like small or like tiny as like the other mom. She was like 10 years older than them. And I just assumed like everybody worked out, and whether you were obese or whether you were small, everyone just like worked out to be healthy. And so that was kind of like my worldview. When I realized that majority of people don't work out and only a small niche of people work out, I was like, holy crap, that's weird. So kind of like my whole point of the story is that of certain body type, like it isn't just a certain body type that works out. Everybody can work out, and people who look like they're overweight can still be working out more than people who are very underweight. So when somebody says like you don't look like you work out, it kind of just narrows this look of fit, whereas like all bodies can work out. There's people who look like they might be overweight and they can crush you in a marathon, and they can just run for miles for people, rather than people who have tons of muscle and they look like they would perform really well at a marathon, but then they gas out. So there isn't just one specific look to being healthy or to being fit. And then you carry your weight well. So this feels like a compliment, but it centers the person around weight and having weight being a flaw, and that it needs to be managed. So it might sound like it's a compliment, but it's really not. Like, I think I get this a lot with fighting. They're like, between fights, they're like, holy crap, you're 150 pounds. I would guess you were like 120. And they're like, you wear your weight so well. And I'm like, okay, why does that matter? Like, why does it even matter whether or not I'm 150 pounds? Like, I like the way my body looks. I got muscle. I'm like proud of the way it works. Why does it even matter like what my weight is? Another one is, wow, you actually ate all that? And that can happen a lot at like family gatherings, family events, Thanksgiving. It's kind of just policing what people eat. And then another one I see a lot online is, you're so tiny, go eat a burger. I'm like, why does it matter if that girl is tiny? Why does it matter if she wants to be small? That doesn't mean she needs to go eat a burger. Maybe she has a really fast metabolism where she's eating a lot of food, but just like can't gain weight. So that is something that can also be very harmful, even though it sounds like it's almost like a compliment, because you're like, oh my gosh, you're so tiny, go eat a burger. Like it can be harmful. Something else that is huge is like, after I'll lose weight, then I'll do this. So that is delaying your life until your body changes. And that is it's a big trap that a lot of people fall into, but it's something that is so unimportant. Like, the way your body looks shouldn't affect whether or not you go boating with your friends. The way your body looks should not affect whether or not you go on a really fun vacation. The way your body looks should not affect when you do certain things in your life. You don't need to stop living life just because your body looks a certain way. It is one of the most unimportant things about you, is like how your body looks. So I feel bad for people who kind of like pull themselves out of life because they just don't feel comfortable in their body. I need to work this off tomorrow. So that turns movement into a punishment instead of something that is good for your body, or instead of something that you truly enjoy doing. So if you eat a food and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to go run a mile tomorrow to work this off, that turns food as a bad thing. It turns that food into a bad thing and workout into a punishment. So it's kind of like a double negative there. Something else is, oh, I could never pull that off. It turns bodies into categories of people who are allowed to wear certain, like something, versus people who shouldn't wear something, whereas anybody can literally wear anything if they want to, right? And that was that. So here's how to shift body shaming from your own thoughts. So first thing is to catch it. So a lot of people don't even notice that you have all these negative thoughts throughout the day. If this is something that is just what you grew up with, it is going to be so hard to recognize that. But once you notice a thought, just notice it without spiraling, without getting mad at yourself, and then just pause for a second and be like, oh, I just said that to myself. And then call it out and label it for what it is. Is it conditioning? Is it like social pressures? Or is it like something that you learned when you were little? Is it something that you saw online? Call it out for what it is, and keep in mind that it is not the truth. It doesn't have to be the truth. And then change the tone. You don't need to switch it to positivity. So let's say, oh my gosh, I feel so fat in these jeans. You don't have to automatically be like, oh my gosh, these jeans are the best thing I've ever put on my body. I look so great in these and I'm a rock star. That doesn't feel authentic to most people. So just shift it to a neutral thought. So instead of, oh, I feel so fat in these jeans, be like, okay, this is what my body looks like today. Or instead of, I look so fat in these jeans, be like, I'm so grateful that I have these jeans, so I'm not like naked walking around. So it's something that is a little bit more something that you can accept, but it's not something that's negative and it's not something that's positive. It's just like a neutral thing. That's what it is. And then focus on function. So switch from how it looks to what it does. So a lot of times when those negative thoughts pop in our head, it's kind of like tearing down the way you look rather than focusing on what it does. And I know a lot of moms will do this, be like, oh, I hate the way my stomach looks now because I had so many kids, my stomach got stretched out, whatever, rather than focusing on like, holy crap, I literally just created like a life, and my body was able to create that life with my stomach. And that is really, really cool. So that's a little kind of shift there too. And you just have to focus on kind of like what your body can do. It can carry you, it lifts, it walks, it heals, because bodies are pretty crazy in that way. And then try to speak to yourself like you would speak to someone you care about. You most likely wouldn't tear them down, so just don't do it to yourself. And then repeat the new script. So your brain learns through reps, just like your workouts. So anytime you have a little negative thought that pops up, recognize it and then try to turn that into something neutral and focus on what your body does versus how it looks. And then soon you're going to start rewiring your brain into something healthier. And then that's going to change the chemical response in your body. And then your body is going to respond positively to that. So it's all kind of tied together. But the more that you do that, the more changes can happen. So here's how to catch it when someone says something to you. And this is a little bit more uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't mean harm by a lot of the things that they say. They think they're saying something nice where it can be harmful. So I don't want to be like overly sensitive or petty with this, but we'll just go through it and we'll talk about it. So when somebody says something about your body, just notice the ping like that happens inside your body. I notice when someone says something negative about my body or something that felt a little off colored, I notice it like deep in my gut and it feels like my stomach is like tense. And instead of getting defensive, instead of getting offended, instead of shutting down, just notice it. It's like, why am I feeling that way? And most of the times I will just like laugh it off or accept it or go along with it, whatever. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to laugh it off or accept it. What I would recommend is, so realize that it's happening. Be like, okay, that felt like a comment about my body, or that felt like a comment that wasn't fun to hear. And then buy yourself a second and ask them what they meant by that. And because maybe they said it without even really thinking. And then that gives them a chance to explain themselves and be like, oh, I said that that she's so brave for wearing that swimsuit at the beach today. But really, I just meant that like, she looks good in that. Like, she looks really good. Instead of being like, oh, you're brave for putting that on your body. And so that way it either gives them a second to recognize how that came off and fix it, or maybe they'll double down and really say, oh, well, people with bodies like yours, they don't normally wear swimsuits like that, so you're really brave for wearing that. So if they double down, then that's when you can send a soft boundary and be like, all right, well, I'm not really open to comments about my body, but I appreciate you. So that way they know like, okay, she doesn't really like it when I point out stuff about her body, so maybe let's just talk about something else. And then also redirect or change the topic. So step away if you need. And just remind yourself, I think this is the biggest thing that you need to remind yourself, is their words is not your truth. A lot of times when people say things about other people's body, they're projecting an insecurity of theirs onto somebody else. And so if you can recognize that and be like, okay, what they said has to do more about them than it has to do with me. and that's not how I feel, or that's not what I think. And if the more you can remind yourself of that and set those boundaries, the better you'll be long term. And I think a lot of I'll hear this with either women in toxic relationships with men, or I will hear it with women who had moms who were deeply insecure and they constantly pick at their daughters' bodies, but it's really them projecting that onto their daughters. So I think just try to keep your responses polite and neutral. Be like, I'd rather not talk about my body, or I'm focusing on how I feel, not how I look. I really like that one. So if somebody says something about your body, be like, thank you so much. I'm actually focusing on how I feel, not really how I look right now. And then that's like a really good way for them to be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So how are you feeling then? And so they can focus on something a little bit more positive. And then also make sure that you ask questions. So give the person a chance to be like, okay, like recognize what they thought or what they said to you, but like, what made you say that? Why do you think that matters? And those are little questions that can spark a conversation, and then you can have like a deeper conversation about that. You can also use humor. I would use this as like an Instagram caption or something if I got a annoying like comment on my post, like, oh yes, my body, everyone's favorite group project, or breaking news, still a human, not a before and after picture. So just something a little bit like funny or snarky. I would never say that in person to someone. I think it just sounds like you're being like defensive. But I think the biggest thing is just to like ask them to clarify, and then make sure that you don't take their words to heart. And then if it keeps happening, so I do notice this with a lot of like moms and daughters, unfortunately, just say, hey, I've mentioned this before, no body comments, or no comments on my body. And if this continues, I'm going to remove myself from this conversation or from this situation. So most times when you bring it up, or if you ask them questions about what they meant, most people, if they care about you and they care about how you feel, will change the topic, and a lot of people will apologize and kind of like move on. So it's important to not just like shut it down or say something, or just not say something or laugh it off. It's important to be like, hey, like, why did you say that? So that way they can not say that to other people and not give other people their insecurities. All right, so you don't need to love your body every day, but you do owe it some respect. So start with how you speak to it. And I know it's hard, but the more you repeat it, the more you do this, the more reps you do, just like with working out, the more you'll be able to talk positively to yourself. Okay, so I know you guys don't really have a lot of questions normally. So what is one phrase you could replace a negative thought with this week? Or when's the last time you thought negatively about your body, and what thought could you replace it with? Okay, everybody be thinking, because I'm going to call on some of you. Does anybody want to start?
I will.
Okay.
I'll start. So on Thursday, I weighed myself. Friday, I had my check-in with Annabelle, and I woke up extremely bloated, and probably the worst I've had in probably 9 months. And I immediately looked in the mirror and I was like, man, I look like I'm 6 months pregnant. And stepped on the scale, and I was 2.5 pounds heavier Friday morning than I was Thursday morning. And I immediately was like, no, this is just bloat, hormones, inflammation, something I ate. Like, this isn't weight, this isn't fat, this is just bloat, and I just need to keep moving. Drink more water and keep moving. And that's exactly what I did on Friday and yesterday. And today I finally feel like myself again. So before I started this program, I probably would have spiraled and not ate anything for like 2 or 3 days and been very disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
But since starting this, it's so much better.
Well, I love that. That makes me so happy. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing there is like you recognized how you're talking to yourself. You were like, wait, you brought it back to reality, and you thought of like the facts rather than how you were feeling, and be like, okay, this probably inflammation, probably ate something salty, probably like my hormones doing something. Maybe I got bad sleep the night before. I don't know. But I'm not going to go to an extreme situation. I'm just going to continue doing what I do. I'm going to drink water, do all the healthy things, and then your body regulated and went back to normal. So I love that you like went through that whole situation, and then you didn't spiral and you didn't punish yourself for gaining 2 pounds or whatever. And so I think that is a really, really healthy way to look at it. So yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, it worked. It was, yeah, I totally 100% credit those change of thoughts to this program, to you, to Annabelle, because like I said, I would have spiraled. It would have been bad.
Well, good. I'm so happy. That makes me happy. I'll have to share that with Annabelle too.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Anybody else have any comments that they want to say?
I definitely, so back to where you were saying, it should look like I work out kind of thing. I've fell into that for a little bit because it was like, and it's like, I don't look like I work out, but that has changed because now I can see definition in my arms and my legs. And so that's always really cool because I'm like, look at this, I've got muscle.
Yeah.
So it's been really exciting seeing my body change and noticing that, yeah, it does look like I work out, even though sometimes I feel like with my belly, it's, but it's changing for sure.
Yeah, totally. And I think a big thing too, when doing this program is like, look at back where you started from. Like you look like a different human now, So it's like, no, you definitely look like someone who works out. Like if you compare yourself to where you were versus now, it's like, no, you've worked hard, like you worked your butt off. And then you also are very consistent. So I think that is like something to be proud of too, because a lot of people just kind of like do the program, drop off, don't really stick with stuff. And then they just feel bad. But I feel like you show up all the time. And I think that's really cool. Okay, anybody else? Kim and Melissa, do you guys have any negative self-talk? I don't think I've heard Kim and Melissa complain once.
All the time. Like sometimes I still think I'm like a chunky little like 16-year-old, like, and I'm like, I'm not anymore, really. I'm like, do I really look like that? I just has that like, it's just like been stuck in my brain. Mm-hmm. But we've come a long way. Mm-hmm. So when I look at myself right here, I'm like, oh wow, look at those shoulders.
Both of you guys, you want to do a quick flex?
I never used to wear cut off. Now I'm like, what shirt can I cut now?
No, that's awesome. Yeah, Melissa, do you have any like negative thoughts that you switch?
Yes. And I think that, one of the things that does help me is that because I used to really focus on like all the things about my body that I do not like. And when I have to do my check-in and say, do you look better naked? I always have to, that's probably the one that's hardest for me because I have to really shift and find like the things like, yeah, like, look, I can see definition in my arms. I could never see that before. And so being able to have to really find the positives and that has been a big shift for me, but I think it's been really helpful.
Yeah. Not just looking at the negatives.
Right.
Good. Yeah.
What negatives? We're making it up.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I think just switching your mind to like, oh no, like my arms do look good. Like maybe I'm not like 100% happy with where my body's at, but like look at where I am now. Like this is pretty cool. So I think just having those like little thoughts and switching any of those like negative thoughts into something a little bit more neutral is definitely like helpful in the long term. And just for anybody else that Kim and Melissa started years ago, so we switched that question now. It got a little uncomfortable when I got more men, and it's like, do you look better naked? I'm like, that's weird. So I switched it. So yeah, now it's like, do you feel like you look better now? rather than naked. Susan, we're gonna pick on you.
I knew you were going to. I have the worst. This is such a great topic for me because this is me every day. But you know, I still try. I actually had a really great ego week. I've been telling everybody because lately, especially with the challenge. So at the gym, I've been doing like all the push-ups and stuff before I get on my cardio, and people started noticing. And 3 different people come up and they're like, "Man, your arms, your shoulders," and I'm like, "No, it's working." So this was a good week. So hopefully it'll keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you a little bit there. What's a negative thought that you get that pops up that you can switch to neutral?
Oh God, every day, every morning, getting dressed. I mean, putting on the clothes, and, you know, just thinking, ugh, this is horrible on me. And just saying, like you just said, it's okay, I'm covered. I'm not going to work naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, try that this week. Report on next week's call and see if there's anything that like helps a little bit. All right. Okay, cool. Anybody else want to throw in anything into the pot? Any negative thoughts that they turn neutral? No. Kara? She's like, oh no, I don't want to be picked on.
No, I knew you were gonna pick on me. This is actually a good topic for me because I'm really horrible. I body shame myself every day. I've had 6 kids, and so it's just like what I used to look like, and I put clothes on. It's really touching me. I hate wearing clothes, so I wear baggy clothes every day. I really have a hard time with this, and I can't even think of something that would help me, you know, make me feel better or say something because it's hard to see yourself change after 6 kids.
Yeah,
No,
no,
and I do. I work out, and it's like, oh, nothing looks better. You know, I don't know. So it's hard.
yeah, no, it definitely is hard. But yeah, I think just catching yourself and being like, okay, I don't feel super comfortable today, but I have 6 kids. Like most women don't ever have 6 kids. 100% of men don't have 6 kids. So it's like you did something was absolutely like incredible, and majority of people won't ever do, and your body did that. Like, and it's still able to walk, it's still able to heal, it's still able to perform, and I think that is huge. So yeah, you don't have to lie to yourself. Yeah, you don't have to lie to yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to wear a bikini tomorrow. I feel so confident. But you can be like, okay, I'm proud that my body did that. And today we're just going to wear this shirt. And that's like as neutral as it needs to be. So it doesn't need to be anything like super positive, but just catch those little thoughts every morning and turn it into something very neutral. Even if it seems silly, being like, oh, I'm wearing a shirt today, rather than, oh, I look so bad in this shirt. And that will really, really help kind of like rewire your brain and your chemistry so we don't start releasing those like hormones that ultimately will make it worse. So I think that will help you.
I will try.
Work that next week.